Well, as I'm sure you guys have all heard about the viral video going around about Claressa Shields getting dropped by a Russian fighter who was trained by Derik Santos. Derik happens to be a friend of Rocky Boxing, and there's a Potter Brand podcast. I've known Derik for years, more so known Marine because he does train her. He is a high-level trainer in the world of boxing. He has high-level fighters. He has a gym. DS Boxing is his boxing system and gym. Now, these two stories are wildly different. So I wanted to get Derik on if I could. And he was gracious enough to come on for a few minutes to give his side of the story. You sit down and listen to his side of the story and you watch the video, I think you'll see two very different stories, and you will definitely lean towards my guest, Derik Santos. All right, Derik.
Yes,
thanks
sir.
for coming on the podcast, buddy. This is kind of a impromptu podcast here, but things have been going a little bit viral the last couple of days, the last couple of hours, matter of fact. An incident that occurred, I think 5 years ago, but has now come to light. I wanted you to come onto the podcast. Now, full disclosure, I do know you. I do know Maureen. You are friends of the gym. So if you could, real quickly, tell me exactly what led to this sparring that happened that everybody has seen.
It's not, see, that's the thing. People say what led to the sparring. It's not really even what led to the sparring. She needed sparring in preparation for a fight. A boxing manager executive called on behalf of John David Jackson to see if we had anybody that could spar her. And I took this young man over there to do them a favor. It's not like there was anything else other in between that.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're right, it's gone unfortunately viral, but due to her emotions and what she has done to make it so.
Okay, so for those who don't know, you have your fighter go over to the now. Firstly, it is a man, and Claressa Shields is a multiple time champion. So it's not like it's so uneven there, but it's still a man versus a woman.
Well, this happens. So this is commonplace in women's boxing because there's not enough women to go fighters generally, much less one to spar with her of her high caliber.
Correct.
So a lot of times you got to, women fighters, what you do is you find a male fighter who knows how to work, and, they're getting in the work. The idea is to have a live body in front of them and, they're getting in their work,
Okay. So obviously Artur knew how to work. He is lighter. He's 140, I believe, 140, 147, right around there.
135.
135. Okay. Now, for context, Claressa is about 165, correct?
That's her fight weight. Just like Arthur's fight weight. Arthur was probably like 140 something at the time. She was closer probably to 180,
Okay.
at the time, which is normal. That's not abnormal.
Right.
It's not abnormal for either one of the
okay.
fighters.
But still, Artur is not going to go full bore blasting live rounds with
No,
him.
absolutely not.
That's not going to happen. Okay.
That.
So now, obviously, they spar on Monday. It was a Monday that this had happened. It was the Thursday that happened, but Monday you guys spar. Okay, well, I'm taking you back to that day, that week. The Monday you spar went well. Nothing out of the ordinary.
It went well. She claims that she beat him up, which is not true.
Okay, so now there's our first. He claims that it was one-sided and she basically beat the brakes off of him. That did not happen. That is your stance on that? That did not happen?
That did not happen. I'm in possession of one round of that because that's all that was sent to me. But you can clearly see in that, that they were working. It was good work. They were just working. But you could see the relaxed nature that Artur had in the work.
Okay, and I did see a few of Artur's amateur fights in the nationals or the world championships. He could punch. So if he really wanted to bang, and that was in the amateurs. That was in the amateurs.
He could punch. He could punch. He was a strong for a little guy. He was a strong punch. He had snap, what we call snapping.
Right. So that takes us to Thursday. Now, here's where it gets a little fuzzy. Her claim was, and this was her words, that she got the best of Archer on Monday. You called them to come back and spar Thursday.
I'll stop you right there.
Okay.
That right there is one of her many lies.
Okay, so that's
her
number
team
one.
For us to come back on Thursday.
Okay, so her team asked you to come back Thursday. Now, you and John David Jackson are still relatively close friends?
Well, I mean, he was my mentor. Life is, man. Life goes, and people, we're busy all the time. We're working. We're boxing trainers. It's not like, he lives far from me. We don't get together like that.
Okay.
I don't have anything against John David Jackson. I worked for him as his assistant faithfully. I always give him his credit. We have many great moments in the years that I worked with him, due to the fact that I worked with him, obviously.
Okay.
And he's one of my mentors. So there's,
all right. So if you wanted to, you could call up John and say, John, what's going on? I have this fighter here. So that's kind of that kind of relationship.
Yeah, but that's not what happened here either. Boxing executive by the name of Elvis Crespo just called to see if we had somebody because they were looking for a fighter. That's not what happened.
Okay, well, I'm just trying to see how close you and John were. Obviously, you two were close. You calling him your mentor. You guys are close. So the bad blood, there was no bad blood there between you and John. Okay. No. So now that we're clearing this up a little bit here now. So now Thursday comes, according to you, that Elvis Crespo called, said you come down to spar. You come down to spar. According to Claressa, it was 4 and 4, two different guys. Is that correct?
That's not what happened. So again, this is what I'm telling you, that even those timelines don't make sense. Arthur sparred Harold first.
Okay.
And then sparred her.
Okay. All right. So she gets dropped round 3, according to her. Is that
probably round 3? Yeah, somewhere right around there. I know that I can't attest to what the exact round it was, but they were probably maybe 3 rounds into it. Yeah.
Okay. So now here we are, round 4. They finished. She did finish the 4th, or did you guys stop?
No. So she did finish. And like I said, for legal reasons, I'm not going to release. I had that whole round because it was sent to me by the young man. I actually asked the young man to send me the whole thing because I don't have any of the tape. I didn't have any of the video. I was not the person who posted or released that, right? Okay. So I asked him, and his response to me was, this is all that was in my iCloud, and he sent me the whole round. And that round, when that happened, and you could hear in my voice and everything as they're just working, and I'm like, there's a point where, he's working her into the corner, and I'm like, hey, just throw the body, not the head, throw the body, and then he backs up off her. Mm-hmm. She's known to talk at times during sparring, and she's like, oh, is that all you got? You hear some people laughing.
I did hear that. Yep, I heard that.
They get into it. They start throwing more spiritedly. At some point, there's a scuffle. You can halfway see it in the video where, not what you guys saw, but they're coming sort of toward my corner. Looks like she's kind of got him in a headlock, but I'm not. I yelled out, don't hold her head down, but then I guess they turn, and it looks like she's holding him down, and they come towards the rope. You can't see that clearly. Anyways, at that point, the video goes black because his equipment fell off, and I start to fix it. And you can hear it, though, because the audio's still there, and he's like, man, coach, what's going on here? Whatever. And I'm like, it's all right, just work, whatever. I guess he's complaining about the roughhousing, right? And you could hear me clearly say, just work, man, just work. And then they go out there, and, unfortunately, what happens, she throws the cross, he throws the hook, it hits her right on the chin. She goes down. You could hear, I'm the voice that goes, oh, no.
Yep.
And you can see there's plenty of witnesses there. So back to your point, too. Remember what rounds were in, right? So if
Yep.
somebody's punching you with gloves with no padding in it, do you go that many rounds without saying something?
No,
Just
you
think
would
about it,
absolutely
right?
not.
So
Mhm.
that's a point that is not, it's not even been brought up. Even I didn't bring that up myself, but that's just common sense, right?
But not only that, she'd already sparred 4 with Harold. She already got 4. Oh no,
No, that's
Harold. I'm sorry, Harold was already sparring with Arthur, so he would have said, "Hey, that feels a little different."
right.
Am I correct? So
Which,
good
later
point.
he said something like that after she was complaining on the outside.
Correct.
In any case, during that he didn't say nothing. In any case, she goes down. She go see the video. I didn't post that video, but the video is edited the way, I guess the kid felt some kind of way about
Yeah.
her talking, and he decides to post it. And he starts to walk away from. I tell him to go help her, like be a gentleman, help her out. He
Mhm.
turns around. He's not being in any way like acting goofy, like, ooh, he knocked her down or whatever. Goes to help her. She kind of pushes him away.
Mhm.
Uh, and I remember she's like, get the F away from me, whatever, but she gets up
Mhm.
and you hear everybody, John, me, everybody, hey, just walk it off. They just walk for a little bit. I don't know the exact elapsed time. And then they start to spar. Then they touch gloves and start to spar again, which again,
Okay.
this being such a long time ago, I didn't even remember that
Okay.
until I just saw this.
Mhm.
And they start to touch gloves. They touch gloves. They start to spar again. It's not much longer. It's maybe 15, 20 seconds. The bell rings. They once again touch gloves, like good work.
Right.
I don't recall exactly how many rounds they continued. I do remember they continued. I don't remember how many rounds they
She
went
claims
after.
one. She claims one more, and
Uh,
then when it was
May have
over,
been one more, may have been two. Who knows? At that
okay.
point.
Now here's a couple points of people who hadn't seen the video. I can tell you this: she missed the right hand. She was
Mm-hmm.
looking this way.
Mm-hmm.
As she turned this way, and Arturo was throwing at left. She didn't see that.
No.
And I don't care who you are. I've been hit by, Sophia. I was
Yeah.
hit by her and didn't see it. And I got like, wow, you can get buzzed. Now, getting hit by a man and a woman is a different story, but you can get buzzed if you don't see it. That's
Yeah.
just, I think, what happened there.
Yeah. And see, the one thing is, she keeps saying, "Oh, this is weak that that he posted this 5 years after and whatnot," and he has whatever his reasons were. Now,
Right.
I'm here not because of that, because fighters get knocked down. They have bad sparrings all the time. Different things happen. And all my social media up and down, you'll never see any of that posted, right?
Nope.
And now she decided to send a message on Instagram to me saying that she was going to get me fired from boxing, and the thread that we're going back and forth, which I was very respectful to her. But I am also going to stand up against lies, right?
Right.
And then next thing I know, she's giving interviews everywhere. It's getting picked up in the media cycles all over, from Russia, Germany, Ireland, England. People are saying, "Oh, what's going on? Is this true? Did he do this?" Etc. Right?
Right.
My phones are blown up, and I'm going to myself, "Are you kidding me?" And then later, she's like, "Oh, I'm not mad because I got dropped." She said something to the effect of, "I'm not embarrassed because that happens." So then, first of all, why nobody other than her talked about that?
Right.
Think about it, 5 years. That video was buried. Nobody talked about it. Nobody ever thought anything else about it. I don't have any relationship with her or against her. Uh, I've never even seen a full Claressa Shields fight. I've seen rounds and highlights, and
Right.
again, not discrediting her for being a champion, right? But I'm also going to stand up for, it's reckless, it's malicious intent to defame my name and my career. And then I'm going to stand up for the young man, because even though he doesn't even box anymore and lives in Europe, and to my knowledge, he doesn't box anymore. You know, that's not something that should be put on him either, right?
Correct.
And so, which one is it? You're throwing a flame. You're trying to throw a put a flamethrower to my career, because what? Because you're claiming one thing, you said a completely bogus story about that you grabbed his hand and you walked him over to John, and that you saw the gloves were fake. That the video there doesn't even make sense, because she says he sparred Harold after, which, if I caught a fighter cheating like that or anything like that, they wouldn't let them fight. I wouldn't let them spar somebody else, right? That would be the end of that right there. So that didn't even make any sense. She had a story about that. I said the gloves were gifted by Roberto Duran. I've never met Roberto Duran in my life.
Okay.
You know, so it's like all that was nonsense, you know, and again, I sat back, and when I finally saw that video of her talking, I was like, what in the world is this woman talking about? So this is not, we're not here trying to discredit her as a.
So the point where we're at was where you stated that her timeline doesn't make sense. She started talking about not only was the young man that was involved taking the padding out, you were involved.
Right.
Now,
and the storyline about the gloves was wrong too, because the gloves were laying. She claims that I was trying to hide the gloves in a bag. There's an actual internet thread where she's like, "Oh, he grabbed the gloves and he hid them in a bag," and which is, again, more ridiculous nonsense and attempt to slander me. And the gloves were laying on the other side of the ring. When she was making a comment, and we were all together after the sparring, she was as I recall, she was to the left of me. John David Jackson was standing in front of me. Elvis Crespo was standing to the right of me, and we were to the forward of this gym, at the ring at the El Rey Beach Boxing. And she started saying, "Well, let me see those gloves. I've never been knocked down before in my career," or whatever. And I told John, "They're over there." And John went and grabbed them. He looked at them, came back, and he was like, "Yeah, they say 16 ounce, you know, like the regular boxing, you know, 16-ounce sparring gloves, Mundo Boxing brand."
What was the brand? What was the brand?
Mundo Boxing.
Mundo Boxing. Okay.
and you know, at that point, she keeps like, "Oh, you know, those gloves, I don't think they have any I don't think they had the right padding in them and whatnot." And I'm like, "Hey, I'm not a glove manufacturer, you know." You know, I was making comments like that when I was there. I'm like, you can clearly see them. I'm not, you know, like trying to hide them. And I think, I don't know if it was her boyfriend or her husband, might have been right around the circles. At a certain point, I turned to him and I'm like, "Hey, man, I'm not trying to, you know, I wouldn't disrespect your lady and a champ." But she was already sort of like in her head that whatever, upset of what happened, you know.
So ultimately, at the end there, again, her claim, not yours. These two stories are wildly different. Where does two people, John David Jackson, where does he lie here on this?
He has nothing. I mean, look, John David Jackson, he's a stand-up guy. He didn't say anything. I mean, she tried to tag him on the internet thing. I don't. Maybe he didn't see it. Maybe he didn't pay attention. But at the same time, what's he gonna say? Is he gonna concoct a story and try to follow, you know, her lies? John's not doing that. He knows. I believe at the moment we were there, he said, "I know Derik a long time. Derik's not the type of guy to do that." Whether she wanted to take his answer for it or anybody else's answer for it. And then, you know, as far as the proposed plan to knife me, I heard about that only a week later, which I was shocked.
She said she left and came back, but you just said that you guys were standing there.
Yeah, we were standing there, we were discussing. I don't remember her leaving the gym, but she may have left the gym, came back. But She didn't come back to the gym in knife in hand, I'll tell you that much. You know what I mean? There was a bunch of people there. This is not a private thing, you know.
Okay.
There were several other pro fighters there. There were several gym people there. This is not like, you know, oh, this was a hidden sparring secret camp. Only the teams were there, that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
So she may have wanted to do that. Obviously, we can't stop anybody from saying or trying to, or doing something to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was an unfortunate incident surrounding one of her fights before.
Yep.
Also, with another coach got, you know,
He was seriously hurt. That guy was seriously hurt.
And I'm not in any way saying that she ordered that or did that. What I'm saying is that whatever the case may be, I wasn't aware of that until a week later when I was told by somebody else who happened to be there. And I was shocked. Honestly, I was shocked. You know, you can go ahead and you don't have to like people. I don't have any relationship with her. I never did have any relationship with her. You know, I don't, again, not for disrespecting her as a champ, I don't follow her career. You know, I just know, I've seen, of course, you're in boxing, you know, you see what she does and you give her the credit. You know what I mean? But I'm like not an avid follower of her career. I coach other women too. So that's, you know, that's another thing. Like I would never do something like that either, you know? Beyond that, it was a couple months later, she came to my gym to watch Demetrius Andre in a training session, in an evening training session that he had in my gym. She walked in. I was the only one there at the time because everybody else hadn't gotten there yet. And I said, "Can I help you?" And she said, "Oh, Demetrius said I can come." And I said, "Okay." And I went and got a chair for her like a gentleman and just told her, "You can sit there and wait till he gets here." There was no argument or discourse. No, you know what I mean? There wasn't even any conversation. It wasn't like I sat next to her and sat there and talked and whatever, and the training session went on. So from that point, what we're talking about, October 2018 to now, I have no relationship with her.
So what prompted this to pop up? Was it the
apparent? I'm gonna, you know, like again, I sent a message to the young man and I said, "Hey, you know, why did you post this?" And he said to me, "Coach, the truth has to be on our side." And he said, "Champs, the truth has to be on our side."
Right.
You know, like the truth has to be. And he said, "Champs should be honest." And that was his response.
Okay. Yeah, see, that's where I'm confused. Did she say something to him?
Yeah, no, but apparently, again, I can't speak for him, you know, so apparently, you know, from what I've talked to other people, they keep saying that she has brought this situation up before, you know. Yeah, I'm assuming mostly in private. But in any case, he must have saw the interview. He's from Latvia. And she was like, "Oh, this little Russian hater," and blah, 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 blah. I didn't see it till actually after. I didn't even see that interview until after because my phone started blowing up when the clip went out. You know, and then she started naming me and him and whatnot, right?
Right.
And so, you know, I'm to assume, like when I asked him the question, that, you know, he probably was tired of hearing her, whether it was hearing her, you know, mention that. I don't know if he heard it in different places or whatnot, whether it was, you know, I don't know what other trash talking she may have been doing, you know. Her personality is her personality, you know. I also don't, again, I don't follow, so I don't know what else came from that other than seeing that. And maybe he just got upset. Maybe he just felt that, you know, he was being clowned and he decided to post that. But again, to my point, That happened 5 years ago, right? Originally, I had the video, and I guess he had too, or whatever, right? I long lost that phone a long time ago, but I remember telling everybody nobody can post that or talk about it, you know. So whenever she used to, you know, it's funny because people in private, you know, they talk and whatnot. Whenever she used to talk about beating Golovkin and whatever, the individuals that were there, the fighters that were there, and people in the gym were like, "Yeah, okay," you know. They were like, you know, how's she gonna beat Golovkin? You know, when you know this, she got dropped with Arthur, who's a 135 pounder. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that's just sort of locker room talk. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, but nobody ever came out and said that publicly. So at the end of the day, like if you really put this together, why was she even talking about it? I asked her in a thread. It's a good question. Why did you even bring this up? Because it wasn't anybody from, you know, my team, my gym, our side until, you know, that happened. And obviously I cannot control what somebody from way over there does. Now, more importantly, again, we're back here because of defamation, of slander, right?
Yes.
She can control how she responds to that, right? And she went out there and said, I'm going to do this. And she's been trying to do that since.
Hmm.
Since the moment that was posted, she's been trying to do that now for whatever days, right? And I'm
Right.
sitting back here going, now, how is it possible? I'm seeing sites that are just posting without even reaching out to me and asking me for comment. Oh, shame on him for doing that. You know, you got ignorant people who are like, oh, why would he put a man in to spar a woman? That's not right, and blah blah blah. And it's just ignorance left and right.
Right. And they don't know.
Uneducation,
Right.
you
And
know.
again, they don't know obviously the level of boxing that you're at now. So they don't know the insides and outs. But one of the reasons why I wanted to reach out to you was because I will say most of the stories have been leaned towards you, saying Derik is a stand-up guy. This is not something he would do. We know who he is. Um, Claressa is getting a lot of backlash for two things. One, saying that she could beat a man easily. Matter of fact, I think she challenged Keith Thurman, which would be really bad, really
Keith,
bad.
okay. Keith did not want to do that. He said, "Let's do something for charity." You know, I'll throw jabs, this and that. But you know, in those events, I guess you know you're still going to make. I don't know if it was just for charity. I do not know if there was money involved. Maybe that's why she got so upset that the video popped up, or maybe it's just personal ego. You know that She says she's not ashamed. She shouldn't be because it happens to any kind of fighter. But she tried to do scorched earth. That's not my opinion. That's fact because that's all over the world and the interviews that she's been giving.
Mhm. So, where do you go from here at this point?
Well, I sat back and I just first I was shocked, and then she followed through with trying to slander my name everywhere. So I just had the evidence that I have, kept everything documented, and I started the process to talk to the legal team about defamation. And let me make one another note. And again, there's nothing against this gentleman either because he can't control somebody else. I did when this was getting out of hand on the Instagram threads and this and that. I thought to myself, like, oh, wait a minute. I started to feel threatened. And I'm saying to myself, like, I didn't sign up for this. I remember the issue with Ali Bashir. I don't want to be looking over my shoulders, you know, for all this stuff. And so I asked an executive I knew for Mr. Taffer's number, who happens to be her manager. And I sent him a nice message saying, hey, look, this is my name. I'm a coach. I was there at this time. You know, she's threatening with trying to ruin my career and this and that and the other. And I got screenshots of these things, right? And I said, but I don't, I don't want to deal with this. Like, I don't really want to be, sort of take this to any other level or be involved. I don't want anything. I just want you to speak to your fighter, and talk some sense to them and calm them down. Which he very graciously said, "Thank you for the note, sir." And that was the only contact that I had with him.
Mm-hmm.
But then the next day, that was the day before. There's all these interviews where she's throwing my name out there left and right, and saying I'm some kind of scum dirtbag and whatnot.
Right.
Thankfully for me, I've done everything in my power to try to not be that, to try to be a fair, goodwill person, courteous at every promotion I've ever had a fighter with. All the boxing tickets. I've never had an incident at any fight myself, actually, over 20 years. You know what I mean? I've never had a situation where like that, where I'm either calling out or talking trash about some fighter, or even posting on any one of my social medias any kind of what is it? Videos of sparring where my guys get the better of it. And that's just you don't do that. And so that's what now she's sort of trying to get sentiment on her side, going, "Oh, that was weak that he did that and he did that." May have been, but again, I'm just looking at it from my logic. That probably wouldn't have happened if she wouldn't have spoke about it. Like, I don't understand what was the point of her even speaking about it.
Right. And
It's kind of like
also,
seeming like an egotistical thing where she was trying to give herself credit for something. Like, she thought it was cool that she was going to get ready to stab me or something. There's nothing funny about that.
mm-mm.
I'm a humble human being, coach, father, grandfather. I've worked with women and children and men, over these years. That there's nothing okay with that.
Yeah, and the thing is, the thing that gets a little bit weird is she's directly going after you. You did not post it. You didn't speak about it,
No.
which makes it very difficult.
Nor do I give gloves. You can go around and ask pro fighters or whatever. Do their coaches carry their gloves for them and give fighters gloves? I don't do that either. But that's not to say that there was anything wrong with these gloves. There was nothing wrong with those gloves.
Now, let me
As a
ask
matter
you.
of fact, the first day, when they sparred the first time, he must have grabbed a pair of gloves from the police athletic league, because he was wearing Green Hill amateur safety gloves, 16 ounces. Now, no serious boxer ever spars in those. No serious boxer ever even owns a pair of those, right? And then the next time they sparred, he just had your regular 16-ounce normal lace-up gloves from
Underworld.
yeah. And in the video, I don't even know what she's wearing, but she looked like she was wearing 12-ounce strap, 12-ounce strap, whatever, lace-up gloves. I mean, not lace-up, but the strap
Velcro.
around gloves.
Yeah, the Velcro.
But nobody ever said anything about that. Not that I would, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, so let's go back to the gloves, just for argument's sake. Argument's sakes, the 16-ounce gloves that were worn in the video, they don't appear to be tampered with. They don't on the surface. Okay. Is it possible at all? Is it possible at all that there were gloves that were taken from somewhere that were 16 ounces labeled, but were beat up to the point where the padding was moved?
I don't even know. I don't even think that was a case. I mean, I'm not. If you look at the video, like I said, I have the video around, and you can zoom in on the gloves. You can see it, that they're padded. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, again,
yeah, I think
I don't even think. And again, they were going through rounds, boxing beforehand, and she didn't complain about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you got to get back to that point where she didn't complain about that for at least, if she's saying it's the third round, then at least that was 2 rounds that she didn't complain about it. And this sparring was more spirited than the first one.
Right. And this is
so it just boiled down to she got caught with a punch that could have hurt anybody, just hitting the right spot.
Right. And that's the thing that gets me is why, first of all, why she's even talking about it now is beyond me. But 2, the story that she says is so wildly different from apparently what's on the video. And for her to go after you, saying she's going after your career and what have you, that opens up a whole legal, ramification, because you are a trainer of world-class fighters. That is your career. So now someone's going after your career. This could be extremely, extremely detrimental to her financially.
Well, I mean, that's not the point. To me, the point, again, is I feel like she thought it was okay. You can't go anywhere in this country and just start accusing criminal accusations like that, and it's okay, because that's what it is. An action like that, it's gross. It's disgusting for any coach that would do that. It's criminal. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And for her to throw around those allegations so freely, like they were fact,
mm-hmm.
and to say that is beyond reckless, and malicious in intent.
No, the
To hurt my career.
The intent is there.
Something that I have never done to her. But this is not really a tit for tat now. This is just a question of, okay, that's what you wanted to do. Then there's proper protocols for this.
Correct.
And for handling these situations. And that's why, listen, I'm just speaking the truth. When you have the truth, you're not afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And if it goes to the next level where we're going to go into legal matters, then all them people are going to be subpoenaed, and she can choose whether to or not perjure herself, which is then another situation altogether, because you perjure yourself, you can get jailed if you lie under oath.
There's no could. There's no could. You purge yourself, you go to jail.
Not only for her, but for any and all other witnesses that get subpoenaed.
Right. And again, that's what makes this so wildly out of control, because it can get to a point where she either has her hurt ego, and it's gotten so far that she can't accept that. And again, when you're at that level that she is, let's be honest, she may be the greatest woman fighter of all time.
I've said this on many occasions, right?
Mm-hmm.
She should be. That's what I'm about to say. She should have her face on cereal boxes and commercials, endorsement sponsors, whatever, be the promotional darling and whatnot. There's a reason about the way she's carried herself. And I'm not talking about in the ring as a fighter. I'm talking about, and whatever it is, comments, whatever her interviews are, whatever things are, that has stopped that from happening to her. So she's been her own worst enemy when it comes to that. I said it again. I give her a ton of credit for the fighter she is. That's got nothing to do, for the boxer that she is, for the world champion she is. I do not know, other than what everybody else has seen, the outbursts that everybody else has seen on several occasions, the interviews. I do not know anything else about her personal life. But I do know that, if she had a professional decorum about a lot of things, she probably cost herself a lot of money. A lot of her own earnings, a lot of her own earnings for herself, her team, her coaches, her managers. But, again, you can only control, you can only give advice to a person. I'm obviously, I can't say for sure, but I'm quite sure somebody's had that discussion with her well before this.
You would hope. You would hope, because here's a woman who won an Olympic gold medal. I believe she won 2, didn't she?
Not only that, it's just talk about, and yes, as Charles Barkley said, you don't have to be anybody's role model. But when we're talking about women's boxing and we're talking about young women all over the world, just look at the way she talks.
Mm-hmm.
And the way you carry yourself, she should be, admired not only for what she does in the ring, but how she carries herself, outside of it. But again, to each his own. She's allowed to live her life the way she wants to live it. She's allowed to say what she wants to say and how she wants to say it. Of course, there's always cause and effect to everything, and there's consequences to everything, and that's something that obviously she's okay with herself,
Well, and corporate America tends to steer away from that. But she literally, when she walked out of the Olympics, she was probably sitting on $1 million just in endorsements alone, and it never panned out for her. And look, she's an attractive woman. She's an attractive woman. She speaks well. I've seen her dressed up at UFC events. She's an attractive woman that can sell. It could sell to the Black community. It could sell to the white community, and it could sell to the Hispanic community like us. It's just someone who's a successful woman, and that is lacking. And she just missed it. She couldn't control that. And now look at the situation she's in now. Telling a story that now that I'm talking to you and getting the facts from you as you see it. And again, I've asked her to come on. She has declined. So I see it this way: is she's digging herself a hole here. She said something she can't take back now. Social media, you can't take it back. It's out there. It is.
Well, that's the thing. Now you're getting back to that malicious intent to defame.
Mm-hmm.
I was asked earlier today, well, would you just be willing to just sit down and shake hands with her? And I was like, no. You know why? Because she didn't consider my life, my livelihood, my career, my reputation when she went out spreading false lies. Mm-hmm. I have no room in my life. I can pray for her to do well in her life and wish her well as a champ that she is in the ring, and that she gets through her career, safely, as I wish for all boxers. I have I'm a goodwill person, but I also have no reason to have a person like that anywhere involved or around in my environment. In my life, I have no reason to want to just be like, oh, it's okay, everything you did.
Mm-hmm. And
you tried to burn my house down, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. We can people can forgive, forget. I'm more like I'm indifferent to whatever she does or happens in her career, but I certainly do not have to be or not have any kind of reason to sit down and be like, hey, you know what? You were just upset, and it was okay. You did all of this towards me. Mm-hmm. All these wronghood and falsehood. It's all good. Fist bump. No, wow. I don't need that. I don't need to to give her that satisfaction.
Right.
And that's more like a false satisfaction anyways. It maybe for whatever other people that might be like, oh, okay, that's the bigger thing to do. No, the bigger thing to do would have been never to have even ever brought that up again, which she did.
Right. And I could liken it to something like if someone came here to my shop and said, hey, he has rats in his thing, and then it wasn't true. Oh, no big deal. Well, it just ruined my reputation that I've built for 27 years here. So I can sympathize with you as if someone did that to me. They have to look at it at that way, how you would look at it. And Derik, I've known you for a long time, not so much as close as Leo does and Maureen, but I've never, in all the years we've known you and all the things I've heard about you, I've never heard of you ever breaking. And boxing is the dirtiest game there is, but you're one of the clean ones. I don't buy this story. I don't buy this story from her. I don't think it's true. I would stand behind you, and there is no way I think you would ever do that to another human being, let alone another woman.
Yeah, it's crazy because a lot of people kept bringing up, "Oh, are you trying to discredit her as a boxer? Are you kidding me? I'm not discrediting her as a boxer. Like you said, she be the greatest, for sure, welterweight, junior middleweight, super middleweight, women boxer of all time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Another discrediting her as a boxer. That had nothing to do with what she said or did.
Right. Well, Derik, I would like to keep up to date on what is going on and the next steps that are going to happen. Do you have any social media where people can reach out to you at this point?
Yeah, Derik Santos boxing. I mean, that's when you say reach out. I'm only going to do what so many of these.
No. I mean, like if they wanted to
follow me,
yeah, I'll follow you and do that stuff. No, and I appreciate your time here. This was a very quick thing. I just, wanted to make sure your side was told. And obviously tonight you will be on ProBox. It is debuting right now on ProBox. You did a great story. That's a great channel to watch, and you'll be on there. Follow Derik on all social media outlets. Derik, I appreciate you coming on to tell your side of the story, and we believe you here.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Derik.
Have a good night.
Bye. And that was Derik Santos. He was nice enough to join us here for a little bit on the Zapata Baron podcast. And after hearing that, I will say this. I believe Derik. He's never been one to lie in a world where boxing is dirty, full of dirt. But I've never known him to lie or cheat. Are there people that do cheat and lie in boxing? Absolutely. It happens all the time. It's the only sport you could come in on an entry level that's professional. It is a unregulated sport to an extent, and it's something that can go to the wayside and things fly under the radar. However, in this situation, I think Claressa got caught by a punch, dropped, and that was it. I think her ego was hurt. Now, this is a woman who's been on the highest level of the highest levels. She is considered the greatest woman fighter of all time, and I don't argue that at all. Olympic gold medals, world titles, every division that she's fought in, she's won a world title, undefeated. Goes to MMA, wins, only has one loss there. But that wasn't even her sport. She did it to make a challenge of herself. She threw away countless of dollars as far as in endorsements coming out of the Olympics. And it was her own detriment. I'm not saying she's a bad woman. I don't know her. I don't know her. I know one person who knows her. But what I would say is I'm going to side with Derik. And the reason why I would is because I know Derik. And I can only go by what he is, what he's proven in his years in boxing. Derik is not a cheat. This was not on him. I believe this was someone who got their ego hurt and put out a story to make it look good, and now it's backfiring because the stories don't match. Where this goes from here, I believe it'll go to court. I believe Derik will be exonerated, and well, he should. That being the case, I wanted to thank you guys for watching this podcast. Remember, don't be envious of what I've accomplished in my life. Be inspired by what you can do in yours. Thank you.
Thanks for watching the Zapata Brand podcast. Please subscribe to the podcast and listen where all podcasts are available.